Greetings, beautiful people. So here's definitive proof as to when people say, as within, so without. Okay? Now, why would they correlate the word systems, right? Because we're just a big system. We have a nervous system. We have a circulatory system. Okay? We have a nervous system. We have a digestive system, lymphatic system. Yet, we have systems such as government system, education system, religion system, employment system, right? Military system. Now, here's the crazy part, all right? If we're going to start to correlate things, all right, with using the same word as within, so without, so what the fuck is the difference, right? This is why when you get arrested, you have the right to remain silent. And the reason why is because anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. And the reason why is because words have many different meanings. And they can utilize whatever meaning they want to their advantage. You see, they'll let you know you have the right to remain silent. Look at the word right. Now, check this out. All right? You have the right to remain silent. Who is to say that right is good and left is bad? You know what I mean? Now, here's the crazy part, all right? If you look at whenever they say you have the right to remain silent, they also say that driving is a privilege. This is why when you get pulled over and you say I was driving, you already literally incriminated yourself to a maritime law. Now, if you come out and say, I wasn't driving, I was traveling, because now the difference is that traveling is a right. Driving is a privilege according to the maritime law, right? So now here's the crazy thing, all right? Whenever you're talking about systems, all right, you have systems that we go by. But you see, we have a system, and the system that we are always paying attention to outside of ourselves is the system that we depend on to gain a physical manifestation of energy, right? And I'm sorry. I mean, I'm actually drinking a little bit, but it's all good. I just want to make sure that you guys know that in case I'm belching. I don't want you guys to think, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. But whenever you're, let's say for example, all right, you go to work. Do you notice that before you get hired at a job, you have to sign a bunch of contracts? And this is definitive proof that you sell your soul just when you go and apply for a job and get a job. And listen, I'm not criticizing anybody who has a job, and I'm going to tell you why, because I have a job, all right? But the difference is that consciousness awareness is knowing how to utilize the job as a tool to your advantage. You see, a person who's unconscious and not aware, what they'll do is they will take the job, okay, and the job will utilize you as a tool. But instead what you do is you utilize the job as a tool. And the reason I say this is because now you're going to network. When you network, you meet new people because you have to deal with customer service. What I would do is I would start to create, you know what I mean, with the spare time that you have. But this is what it comes down to: discipline. You see, discipline would you be taking the time that you're not involved in the system and working on yourself, self-work. And the reason I say this is this: you work on your system. You can now split the time between the systems that you have outside of you, and then you utilize the times that you're not within the system outside of you to work within you. And the reason I say this is because a lot of people don't utilize the work as far as the feminine aspect. And in order for you to create any kind of lights outside of you, you need to tap within, and that's the darkness. But they also indoctrinate you into thinking that the darkness is bad. You know what I mean? Now, here's the shit, all right? And this is important to know. You have systems. Your body is a business, all right? But you utilize this system to work in another system, right? And instead of utilizing the energy in this system, which is the real energy, what you're doing is draining this energy and draining it for a system outside of you, for a physical manifestation of energy that ain't even worth as much as the energy that you have within. You know what I'm saying? And the energy that you have within, all right, is based on the value that you put on yourself. This is why whenever you go out and you work at a job, you got to sign all these contracts. You be told, we criticize people in Hollywood. Oh, they sold their soul. You know, they sell their soul for fame and fortune, and they got all these millions. Motherfucker, you're selling your soul for fucking $10 an hour. You get what I'm saying? Like, this shit is fucking crazy. We're criticizing them for selling their souls for millions, but we're selling our souls for $10 a fucking hour. That shit is crazy. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you something. If you label, you see, even the people that sold their soul, all right, for $1 million, yeah, but you're technically doing the same shit they are. We're just perceiving it different. The people in Hollywood are selling themselves for millions, but that millions is still not worth, really, it's not really worth the energies that you have. You see, you're priceless. So if you knew your power, or these people even in Hollywood knew their power, they wouldn't even do what they're doing in Hollywood. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if they decide what physical manifestation of energy they will have, because that's what they would value themselves as, because they knew their true power. But since we don't know our true power, we settle for whatever we think we're worth, or whatever society tells us that we are only capable of doing. And the reason that why this happens is because we go through it starts with the education system, where when we go through the education system, right, they indoctrinate us, they train us. Look at the word train. Now, train is actually a pretty important word, and the reason why train is an important word is because when you go to school, you're not being educated. You're being trained. You're being trained to be a servant, to be a slave, to work and earn a paycheck. Earn is what you put dead people's ashes in. You know what I mean? So you know, rich people focus on cash flow. A smart spiritual person focuses on energy flow, right? But energy flow is one thing. When you have that energy flow, you could create anything outside of yourself. You see, you know what rich people do to create abundance? They don't go and work for money. They work for free, because they work for whatever the fuck they want to do, if they really want to do it. But what they do is they create value. They create abundance, because they create it through the form of cash flow. And cash is currency. Cash is energy. The same way. See, this is the physical manifestation of energy, because this is what we all gear towards. Like, and here's the illusion, man. All right? $1 and $100 bill, I mentioned this 1,000 times, cost the same amount to print. Yeah, we put the value more on the $100 bill. All right? Now, our energy is fucking priceless. You know what I mean? And yet we give it away like it's not worth shit. You know what I mean? And this is why, even, let's say, and I mentioned this briefly in a video, and I'm going to make a video on it, but when you give somebody, like, let's say $1, like you give a homeless person $1, you see, that's not coming from a space of genuine. You subconsciously are thinking that because you gave this homeless person $1, that you're going to get something in return. All right? So it's not even, like, genuine. So I'm going to tell you this. If oh, it's only $1, right? But the $1 and the $100 bill cost exactly the same to print. You know what I'm saying? So if you have that mentality where you're like, oh, it's only $1, then that means that you are devaluing the dollar. And the dollar goes a long way. All right? So now everything is a mind game. Now they'll make you believe that the mind is a terrible thing to waste if you don't go to school. But here's the fuckery, is that when you go to school, you're being trained. And when you go to school, you're being indoctrinated in an education system that means shit. And when you go to college, then now you got to pay tuition and college loans and all this shit, right? To learn something that you think is good for you, and it ain't good for you. It's actually something that's not serving you. True God mode is knowing that your energy and attention is being placed to something that you're getting something back in return. You see, we willingly give our energies away, but because we're consenting to it because of ignorance. This is why knowledge is power. Because with knowledge, you know how to handle yourself. Wisdom, you know within, and this is where you start to use your imagination and you start to create. So everything works in harmony with each other. You get what I'm saying? So this is why it's definitive proof that it's as within, so without. Because look at the words train, right? See, a train needs a conductor. And this is why they call a train conductor a conductor. Because a conductor, what he does is conduct. And a train is a bunch of vehicles, all right, that is literally moved by electricity, right? And magnetism, right? And it carries cargo. You see, we either could be the conductor or we could be the train. But the powers that want to be are our conductors. Okay? And if those people that want to be in power is because you see, they want to be in power, and they are because we gave them the power. You see, if we knew our power, they wouldn't be in power, because that's why I say they're the powers that want to be, and they want to be that, and they are because we consented to it, because we're tricked into it through magic, illusion, all this fuckery of language. This is why I say it's important. Look how many meanings you can get out of the word train. And this is why debates mean shit, because it's all just perception. Train, you train employees. You train employees to work in a system to make money for you, but you are not even the fucking CEO, so you're still used as a fucking train too. Even though you think you have a position of power where you're a manager, you're still not even a fucking manager. You're just a conductor getting paid a little bit more energy. That's all you are. You know what I mean? And you got more responsibilities. But a smart manager, what he would do is, I mentioned it in the last video, what a smart manager would do. You go check that out. I even forgot what the fuck I labeled it. But I could tell you this though. If you knew your power, you would just be the conductor. You would create, all right, from your own system. You would utilize your energies from your own system and create your own system outside of you, which is what entrepreneurs do. They create their own system. They create their own flow of energy. You know what I mean? Residual income. And this residual income means that you're a smart leader and you have things working for you. This is why a CEO has employees working for the system that is in play that he created. And now this is where the cash flow is coming in. This is how real estate investment comes in too. All right. Real estate. Look at the word real estate. Why do they call it real estate? Because this is the way to really establish an estate, something. Estate. State of being, state of mind, mentality. You know what I mean? Look at all the words that end in meant. You know what I mean? Establishment. You're established. You're set for life. But people's mentality of being set for life is meaning that they got all this fucking money, and it's not really about that. Being set for life is knowing how to manage yourself here in a certain... And set for life can mean anything. Set for life, you could be a bum, and that's what you're set. That's what your setting is. You're set and programmed to be a bum. You're set and programmed to be in poverty. When you say set for life, it don't mean that you're set for life because you're rich. You could be set for life because being a bum. That's what you're set as. You know what I mean? Because you programmed that setting with your mentality, or what you were indoctrinated, or what you were passed down through your bloodline to the position you're in now. You know what I mean? So this is why it's important to know yourself. Knowing thyself is knowing your power. You know what I mean? And the way this is going to work is literally through breath. And I'm going to tell you why. Because not only can you absorb more nutrients when you eat, when your body's clean, but you can absorb more wisdom and knowledge. All right? Because notice how business is busyness. You still, to some extent, have to you become immersed in knowledge to some extent. You know what I mean? There's an immersement to something, right? And you emerge, right? But then you see the word emergency. This is how they control you from the outside system, is order out of chaos. There has to be an emergency for you to actually even, but they'll still control you to that extent. You know what I mean? So here's my advice in this video is know your systems, know what belongs in your systems, know what doesn't belong in your system. And what you do is this, all right? Oxygen. When you breathe, this is why I say breath is important. And breath is detoxifying, because look at oxygen. Oxidize jinn. Jinn is literally some powerful spirit that inhabits your vessels to some extent. And I got to do some research on that, but it's just something that I kind of came across and breezed through. But oxidize any type of negative or unfavorable energies in your body. That's what oxygen is. You see, you breathe the fucking garbage out. You inhale life and then you exhale death. Notice how whenever a baby takes his first breath, and then he starts to cry, right? But the first comes out through the inhale. When somebody dies, what do? And they die. You know what I mean? So the inhale is life, exhale is death. Now, if you keep your mentality with intent. And there's the thing about intent too. All right. You see, intent, the concept of prayer where we start to program our food and all that. Here's the crazy thing. We start to look at things like this and just saying it with words, but there's got to be a meaning and intention behind it. It's like if you have an intention to do something, your mentality has to be in there too. You got to have the mentality. It's a feeling that has to go with it too. It's not just you saying words. I program my food to do this. All right. It doesn't work like that. You got to have a meaning and intention, a feeling of intent. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. Meant. You meant to do something. But notice how they add the A in the middle of meant. The word that we use as mentality. You know what I mean? Because meant came from mentum, which is mentality. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So, here's the thing. The key to this whole thing is knowing thy power, okay? And knowing yourself is literally knowing yourself spiritually, knowing yourself mechanically, which is literally, we already focus on so much outside of ourselves. So why don't we start to focus on what's going in, into our space, you know what I mean? Like through what we visually see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, because there's different ways, even therapy that heals you. So there's why color therapy can heal you, aromatherapy can heal you, binaural beats can heal you, you know what I mean? Certain massages can heal you. You notice how I just covered all the senses in a way of healing, but we don't realize that the shit that we do, like watch pornography, listen to rap music, right? As a a rapper is a rapper, you get wrapped up in shit, right? And when you smell shit, people smell things that become addicted to them, or they'll inhale like fucking cigarettes, you know what I mean? And they'll fucking what the fuck? What else is shit? Like some people are fucking addicted to pain and shit. You know what I mean? So whatever. Notice how all those things, right, are toxic to you, but you don't realize it. But then there's therapies, which means that you're able to heal through certain sensations that involve the five senses. You know what I mean? So why the fuck are we not paying attention to that? But we do unconsciously things that are hurting us and we don't realize that it's fucking us up. You know what I mean? When there's actually treatments that involve the five senses, we do things that involve the five senses and it's actually fucking hurting us. You know what I mean? So here's an important thing to really realize, that being in God mode is being aware of everything that we're doing, and it becomes a lifestyle. So it's not really hard work. And the reason I'm covering this over is because I mentioned some things in my last video, but you know what I mean? There were certain things that I wanted to cover again in this video that I mentioned that I didn't mention in the other one because I felt like I was a little bit buzzed. Now, why am I drinking these like for these couple of videos? Is literally because I'm actually cleaning my body out. You know what I mean? And this is my intent. You see, I have an intention. I'm not drinking because I like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol on a regular basis. I enjoy it while I'm doing it, you know what I mean? Because everything's an experience. But what I'm doing is my intent is when I drink this, I say this is gonna oxidize the toxins in me because I haven't ate anything, you know what I mean? But it is also something that's literally, it makes me feel good at the moment, you know what I mean? Now, these type of things can actually amplify what you're feeling. So if you're feeling depressed, it will make you feel more depressed. This is why some people who drink, they'll feel more depressed. And some people who drink when they're happy, they feel more happy. See, I'm in the energies of like, I'm learning, I'm sharing my energies. I'm birthing out, right? So I'm intaking the liquids. I'm cleaning and detoxing, but I'm also detoxing my knowledge out and giving it all out to whoever's fucking listening. And that's it. So cheers to you, all right?